Hey, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening? Happy Friday. Welcome to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest, largest, first, only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. For the first 15 years of our existence, we fought very moderately for the return of bankruptcy protections. Now, however, I'm here to tell you that the lending program is failed. We are fighting for the cancellation of all student loans, but life is funny. It all comes back to bankruptcy. We saw what Joe Biden is going to do with his loan cancellation, and it's not much. And it gets weaker by the week, if you haven't noticed. They just announced yesterday that if you're an FFELP borrower and you haven't already consolidated your loans in the direct program, you are not going to get this piddly little $10,000 loan cancellation. So we can't count on Biden to do any kind of meaningful loan cancellation. And in fact, what we saw is what we're going to get from Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, as long as the threat of constitutionally enshrined bankruptcy rights remain gone from these loans. This is the trick, ladies and gentlemen. Taking bankruptcy protections away from these loans lies at the core of everything. We would not be here today but for the fact that bankruptcy rights, as unpleasant as filing for bankruptcy is, were removed from these loans. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. And quite frankly, few people probably will even have to when we get the right returned. Just having the leverage of bankruptcy back is what is absolutely important, ladies and gentlemen. Most important thing I'll tell you, we've been doing this for nearly 18 years now, guys. We've seen all the tricks and the traps. And the biggest trick out there, and the one that the bad guys are trying to play on us right now, is to foist a fake loan cancellation gimmick on the people as a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy leverage that should have never been removed. We are staring down the barrel of that gun, ladies and gentlemen. So, however, I'm thrilled to report to you today that we have not only a Senate bill in the House, Senate S-2598, which will return bankruptcy protections to federal student loans that are more than 10 years old, and also claw back a nominal but not totally insignificant amount of money from the colleges in the case of a discharge. As of yesterday, we actually now have a House companion bill coming out of the Judiciary Committee, as it was. Hey, look at the kitty. We have kitties, guys. I've got 4 little kittens, very cute. So if anybody lives in the northern Wisconsin area and they want one, I need to get rid of them. Little kitty production value there. We've got a companion bill in the House now, guys. That is a huge step forward for us and something that we've been waiting for a long, long time. It's unfortunate, I guess, that they waited this long to do it. But, the Democrats have it in their party platform to return bankruptcy rights to student loans. Now, there's a very long history to this problem that I won't bore you with, but suffice it to say, we've been screwed by the Democrats in the past. In 2008 was the first time, and then again in 2012, and here we are again. We don't want that trick that I just described to be played on us, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely critical that you, if you care about getting this student loan problem solved and you don't want to be screwed for another decade under these loans, under this predatory lending regime, that you get off your ass and you help us. These are your loans and this is your problem. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this stuff does not happen in a vacuum. we would not have these bills to fight for, but for the people on our group. We would not even have this, even, albeit lame, loan cancellation 2.2, but for the people on this group right here. I kid you not. So, you know, I've forgotten about loan cancellation. That's off to the side now, guys. We saw what Biden was going to do. It looks exactly like a trick to me. In fact, it is a trick as long as bankruptcy remains gone from the loans. Remember, January 1st is coming, and supposedly repayment is supposed to begin. If we get caught on January 1st and bankruptcy remains gone from these loans, we're going to be fucked. I'm just going to tell you straight up, pardon my French, but it's true. And quite frankly, I would hope that everybody out there is thinking about ways to bulletproof themselves. Even before this pandemic, more than half of everybody was not paying. And come January 1st, my best estimate is that around 75 or 80% of the people will not resume paying on their loans. Now, with the threat, with the leverage of bankruptcy back, well, all of a sudden we're going to see the Department of Education actually start doing things to solve this problem. And who knows what that'll look like. Quite frankly, I think there will be some widespread loan cancellation. Who knows? But what I know even more strongly, I guess, is that as long as bankruptcy remains gone and January 1st rolls around, the collection industry is chomping at the bit. They are sharpening their knives for that eventuality. Now, I've been living off the grid for a long time. I'm pretty much bulletproof at this point, but I know a lot of people out there are not. And think to yourself, think about your own life. Do you want to be caught with your pants down and you have to run around with your tail in between your legs and hide stuff, hide your assets? You have to beg and plead, or maybe even lose or quit your job. All these things that come along with being forced off the grid. Do you want that to happen? Well, if you don't, then let's fight for the good outcome to this problem. And this has nothing to do with politics, by the way. This is our lives, far bigger than politics. But I will just say, if the Democrats don't honor their party platform where they've committed for the past 8 years to return bankruptcy protection to student loans, it's hard to see the Democrats keeping their majority in Congress. They've got a massive headwind they are facing. And who knows? What I do know is that we student loan borrowers are the largest untethered voting bloc in U.S. history. And that little loan cancellation thing helped the Democrats hugely. I mean, it bumped them up about 1% or 2% in the polls, but it's still neck and neck. And if the Democrats screw us on bankruptcy this session, if they squander this very rare opportunity they have to actually follow through on their promise, their long-standing promise to return bankruptcy rights to these loans, the voters will punish them. You know, there are around 42 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country. So that's federal and private loans. In federal loans alone, there's around 38 plus million distressed student loan borrowers. And as I said, we see Biden's loan cancellation getting weaker by the week, and early voting begins in a week or 10 days or 2 weeks or somewhere in there, first couple of weeks of October. The Democrats have better figure themselves out. And quite frankly, I could say the same thing about the Republicans. Like, the only thing worse than the Democrats are the Republicans. They are trying as hard as they possibly can to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And they're doing a heck of a job, I would say. They are, to a person, wagging their finger at us, the borrowers, the victims of this unconstitutional big government lending scam in direct conflict with their own principles. It is mind-boggling. But ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are the party that counts right now because they control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency. That hasn't happened since Obama was in office in 2008. And if the Democrats screw us, then the Democrats will screw themselves. So we are keeping very close eye on these bills. But again, guys, politicians respond to pressure. And if you're sitting there watching and waiting and worrying and eating popcorn, we're going to lose. And it'll be your fault in large part. Now, to the people on this group, and by the way, if you have any questions or comments, and I can see them on Facebook or Twitter, I'll very happily respond to them. So this all depends on how hard we push, ladies and gentlemen. This stuff does not happen in a vacuum. It's the one most important lesson that we've learned over nearly 18 years of doing this. These are your loans. This is your problem. Did you see anything in the media yesterday about our companion bill coming out? No, you didn't. You didn't hear anything. We saw Elizabeth Warren swoop in and steal some headlines about bankruptcy and student loans for a completely unrelated bill that she introduced at the 11th hour. This session has absolutely zero chance of passing. It will. It's just ridiculous. Why she even rolled it out right now at the 11th hour is, to me, baffling. Why the reporting on this alluded to the now postponed judiciary hearing where our bill was going to be debated is even more baffling. Like, what the fuck is Elizabeth Warren doing? Pardon my French, but we've seen this woman talk about bankruptcy all day long. And when it comes to actually doing anything, all of a sudden she goes quiet. She gets cagey. I don't know what Elizabeth Warren is doing. And quite frankly, I don't care. This isn't about Elizabeth Warren. This is about us. This is about the 44 million federal student loan borrowers, the 12 million private student loan borrowers and cosigners out there in the country. And this is about the Democrats honoring their commitment to us. They've got the power to do what they said they were going to do right now. So the stakes are high, guys, and the clock is ticking. We are getting right down to it here. And so I know I sound a little angry, and I am, but we have every reason to be very glad. You should be very pleased that we were finally able to get our companion bill out. And there will be a press release on Monday about it. And it would behoove any and everyone with student loans out there to do everything they can do to get their local media, national media to report on this very important bill. So in the House, it's S25, in the Senate, it's S2598. In the House, we don't have a number designation yet, but we will soon. And this is our battle, guys. This is your fight. And if you're not fighting it, you're losing it. So I'm going to look at your comments here, and frankly, I'm going to hang it up a little early tonight. It's the weekend. We've been just frantically busy. I've been doing interviews all week long. We got a bunch of stuff coming out next week. Local news. And by the way, thanks to everybody who's been out there doing our daily actions. It's the most important thing I can tell you. We do daily actions every day. They're very specially targeted. And if even 10% of the people in our group were doing our daily actions, this problem would be solved. So spread the word about this group. Spread the word about the critical need to return the floor of fairness that bankruptcy rights are. Don't be shy. Don't think that anybody else is going to pull your weight for you. That never happens. You're not better than us, by the way. Anybody else is going to pull your. You can't be a prom queen and sort of, direct other people. That's not how this group works. This group is a working, fighting group. We need fighters here. We don't need lazy people. We don't need people who expect somebody else to do the hard, get their knuckles bloody for them. We need fighters because these are your loans and this is your battle. And like I said, if you're not fighting, then we are losing. So I see we've got just a bunch of comments here tonight. I'll see how many I can get through. Hey, Vanjie and Rue's with us tonight. Hey, Vanjie. Joanna Kearns is with us. Hey, Joanna, down there in Florida. Hope the hurricane treated you well. Hope you're far away from whatever, Tampa Bay. Hey, Terry Dodd's with us tonight. Hey, Terry. Terry says, good evening, everyone. This is a magic show at this point because they're pulling so many tricks. They're pulling so many tricks out of their hats. Tricks are for kids, not the borrowers. Well, you said it far better than I could have ever said it, Terry. We're not about tricks. We're not kids. Most student loan borrowers over the age of 35, people over the age of 50, which I am, and I think Terry may possibly be, we're not kids. People over 50 outnumber people under 25 with student loans, and on balance, they owe 300% more. We're not going to be fucked around again, guys. Don't forget, if you forget everything I say tonight, number one, remember to do our daily actions. I know you will. You better. But number two, remember, this lending system doesn't control us. We control it. He who holds the gold makes the rules. That's the golden rule, right? Who holds that $1.6 trillion? That ultimately comes from us. It's fantasy monopoly money in the first place. The vast majority of that $1.6 trillion in federal student loan debt is interest, penalties, fees, all nonsense. It's not unpaid principal. But every dime of that ultimately comes from us, or it doesn't. We have the power of the purse here, ladies and gentlemen. We hold all the ultimate power over this lending system. And you should be proud to be fighting this fight, by the way. Founding fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws in the Constitution, not the Bill of Rights, the Constitution itself. People like Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and Robert Morris. These men were being abused badly at the hands of primarily British banks, merchants, ship owners, trading companies, etc. The founders knew something. The founders are strongly on our side. Quite frankly, I think the founders are looking down and shaking their head and saying, how did our people get so weak to let themselves be relegated to second-class citizenry as a result of this government lending scam that no true American could support? I think the founding fathers are saying our people need to get off their asses. Our people need to fight for what we fought for. And that means you. So as corny as it may sound, your country actually needs you right now. You can't unhear that. We on this group, we are not only the eye of the storm, we are the fucking storm, pardon my French, but we are. Those other groups claiming to be fighting for student loan borrowers, they're full of shit. They're using their group as hunting grounds. They're making money off of their group, selling consolidation loans and debt, sign up for a debt coach, blah, 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 bullshit. They don't want to solve this problem. If they actually solve this problem, they'd be out of jobs. That's the last thing they want. Their silence on the bankruptcy issue speaks volumes. Remember that. And remember, nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It's a terrible thing to have to do. But it lies at the core of this fucking problem. And if you don't want to be screwed for another decade, you're going to throw off whatever is holding you back. And you're going to join people like me and Joanna and Terry and Vanjie and Jackie. Jackie's been tearing up on Twitter, I've seen. And many others. Too many to name, obviously. We've got over 1 million people in our group. But if you're not helping us fight, then you may as well not even be here. We don't, frankly, I don't want you here if you're not willing to fight with us. You're dead weight. So take that to heart. Guys, I'm sorry I can't get through all the questions tonight. I hope I covered all the basics. I could talk about how FFELP borrowers are now screwed out of the loan cancellation. I think I already mentioned that, didn't I? Whatever, guys. Don't even be distracted, guys. Our opposition, they want you distracted. They want you waiting, watching, and worrying, and sitting on your ass and doing nothing. We know what needs to be done. We know how to get there. Look at our daily actions, and you'll be impressed with how targeted they are. It's the most efficient, most effective use of your time. This is your life here. This is your livelihood. This is your financial livelihood, certainly, that hangs in the balance of what we can get done between now and when early voting begins. But that's like 2 weeks from now. That's like right now. But the end of the year is our drop dead date. That's when all bills expire. What happens between now and the end of the year means everything for your student loans. So we're not going to have this opportunity again, guys. When this window is closed, we're going to be fucked for years and years. Pardon my French, but it's the truth. So whatever's been holding you back, you better throw that off, because that's the reality. So, and Paula Schultz says, stay on track. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Just forget about all the nonsense you see in the media, guys. 90% of that stuff is seeded by our opposition. They want you sitting there, waiting, watching, worrying, reading Forbes fucking magazine, pardon my French, and doing nothing. That's what they want. Don't give them the pleasure. We've got a massively important week coming up, starting Monday morning, early in the AM. And quite frankly, this weekend, it just doesn't stop, certainly for me, and I hope not for you. Because again, I'm going to say it one last time. This is your battle. This is actually your battle. And if you're not going to fight it, it's not going to get fought, and we will lose. So